Hallo bei einer neuen Folge von Webstandard Insight.
Wir sind heute bei Google und sprechen mit Vice President Matt Brittin über die Zukunft des Suchgiganten.
I think Google was started as a maths project, and in some ways it still feels like a maths project. What we're trying to do is use computer science and technology to solve problems for people. And the big problem we started with was helping you find the world's information and make it accessible and useful. And in many ways, that's what we're still doing. But doing that today means doing that not just on a computer, but on a mobile device. It means doing that not just with text, but with video. It means helping you share your personal information as part of the world's information with other people. And so it's very exciting to be doing that. I think the mission is still very, very much to try to help people using technology. It's not Google who's responsible for what's happening. It's people have got more choice than ever before of where to spend their time, what to read, how to entertain themselves. And actually also business has got more choice than ever before on how to find new customers with ways of advertising and marketing. So what's going on is that technology has enabled more choice and more competition than ever before. And I think in the long run, that's a really good thing for society. I think if you're particularly a newspaper business, but also a traditional media business, you've been used to having complete control. So some of the newspapers I used to be involved in running were regional newspapers. They ran out of a big city. They had fought off all of the competing newspapers, or they bought them. So they had total control of the readership and advertising market, and they were the only place you could go for news and the only place you could go if you wanted to advertise a job. And that model just doesn't stack up anymore when somebody sitting in that city can publish their opinion and can find anything they want to on the web. So it's a difficult transition for the newspapers. We actually work really closely with them and with other media. We partner with almost every newspaper company you can think of to help them get traffic to their website, engage them, engage users and readers on the website, and also to make money. Last year, I think we paid out over $6 billion to publishers of websites where we were showing targeted advertising and giving the majority of the advertising revenue to the website. So it's a difficult transition. We really help as much as we can with our technology solutions to make that transition work. Well, we have a range of things which are at the stage of launching and development and aren't necessarily fully ready for global distribution. So some of the things you mentioned there, we would ideally like to launch everything for everybody in every country all at the same time. But it just doesn't make sense to do that, particularly with things that are experimental. So Google Wallet is all about using your mobile phone to pay. And to do that requires retailers to invest in technology and in hardware, and it requires us and other people to figure out ways of making this work. It doesn't make sense to try to do that all at once globally. It makes sense to do that in a few cities, and we're doing that initially in the US. And then when we figure out how it works, we'll roll it out everywhere else. And I think, so there are other things which make it difficult to launch products in every country in the world at once. So, every country has got different laws. Every country has somewhat different cultural norms, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And so sometimes also that means that we have to do things in different ways in different countries, and I think that's perfectly fair. So yeah, ideally we have everything for everybody all the time, all the same. In practice, there are business considerations and also making sure that we tailor what we do to each country in an appropriate way. Privacy online is an important topic for everybody, and I think that different cultures have different views of privacy. So if you go way back, actually most people had very limited privacy. They lived in a room with lots of other people, and it was pretty hard to keep anything private from anybody. We've got used in recent years to having lots of privacy. We kind of lock ourselves away in our apartments or our homes, and we don't share very much, and we want to be very private. And of course what the internet enables is for you to share all aspects of your life with the internet all of the time. And so it's important for all of us who work online and all of us who want to use the internet to think about what do we want to share and how do we want to share it. And I think you're right that there are differences between the US and typical European attitudes to privacy, and also laws like data protection laws, for example. Every state in Germany has different data protection authorities and laws, and that's good in the sense it allows you to customize things to local to real, detailed local norms, but it's difficult if you want to operate consistently around the globe. What we want to do is engage with people on privacy, and what we try to do with everything we build now is to think about giving the user choice and giving the user control and being transparent. The particular case you mentioned on Safari is a somewhat complicated one, but in essence, there was a loophole only in the Safari browser that allowed cookies to be operating in a way that wasn't intended. And as soon as that was brought to our attention, we immediately stopped it. And there are blog posts that explain in more detail than I'm aware of how that operated. But what we've tried to do, and particularly in recent years, is really look hard at how we can build in privacy standards, controls, and transparency to everything that we do. So we have a global director of privacy. Everything that we launch goes through privacy reviews, and we really try to tighten up so that we can set the standard that people would expect from Google on these things. It's unfortunate if from time to time there's something that hasn't worked, but I think we are constantly raising the standard of what we do. And obviously, if users don't trust us, then we don't have a business. So it's very important for us to get that right. I often read these kinds of stories in the media, and I have lots of friends in the media, and I greatly respect the media, but what the media loves to do is to simplify things and make it into black versus white stories. So Facebook versus Google, Apple versus Google, Microsoft versus Apple, whatever. So it's entertaining to do, but in reality, what we have is this amazing thing called the web, and the number of people using it is about 2.5 billion, 2.4 billion, I think, at the moment. By 2020, it will be 5 billion. That is a lot of people, a lot of content, a lot of opportunity for businesses and individuals to innovate. So I think that Facebook is amazing. I know lots of people who work there and who use it and are very keen on Facebook. I think that offers one view of how people can use a social service, and there are lots and lots of other things that you can do online. So it's not a question of either or. It's not a question of Facebook or Google or Apple. It's a question of innovation. And I think it's great at the moment and quite exciting to see, in particular, Apple and what they're doing, which is tremendous innovation and driving all kinds of new things like the iPad and so on. Amazon, who I think is a phenomenal company, offering online retail choice and really shaking up what's available for consumers. Facebook innovating in social, Google with what we're doing in search and in video with YouTube and with Google Plus and Maps and so on and so forth. I think it's a great time to be around. And of course, those are the big companies. Those are what you think of as internet companies, but the real internet companies are small businesses. Small businesses that are using the web are growing 4 to 8 times faster than those that aren't. And they're employing more people, and they're exporting more, and they're growing faster online than the big businesses are. So actually, although there's these big names that we see and read about every day, the real internet business story is small businesses. Small businesses like Bike Plus More, which is a little bike shop in Vienna, which is where we're talking. And, they have a fantastic web business which allows them to sell bicycles to people who would never think of coming to their store. Businesses like ScotWeb, which is a Scottish retailer of traditional Scottish clothing, 70% of their sales come from outside Scotland. There's an amazing donkey farm that I came across when I was in Belgium recently, and the donkey farmers, it's a very small farm, one of the products they have is donkey milk based cosmetics. Would you believe that? And they sell these cosmetics to the French and to the Koreans and to the Japanese online. So we're talking here about lots of innovation that's going on at a very local level. So I think that's one of the big opportunities. It's very true that what people are doing is accessing the internet via mobile devices more and more. I mean, a year ago, they were doing it about a quarter as much as they're doing. We now have 15 to 20% of searches on Google come from mobile devices. That's about a day a week. And next year, it will be 2 days or more per week. So this is getting very big, very, very fast. And I think the first thing I would advise any business to do is realize that if you don't have a mobile optimized website and you don't have basic mobile marketing, then you're shutting the door in the face of your customer 1 day a week and next year 2 days a week. So the first thing to do is just make sure you've got a mobile optimized website. And a good way to consider what you want to do on that is look at somebody like Amazon, where it's very easy on your mobile device to see their mobile website and also to see their desktop site and what they do well. is a thinner version of the computer site on the mobile. Fewer choices, bigger buttons, and it scrolls up and down very easily. And I think that sends some very good lessons to anybody thinking about what a mobile website needs to do. What does somebody need to do on their mobile phone? How can you make it really easy and fast for them to do that? And about 3 years ago, Eric Schmidt, who was our CEO at the time, said he was going to close down our specialist mobile engineering team. I thought, why would you do that? We're just seeing the growth really take off. It's becoming something that people are doing more and more. But what he was asking us to do is put mobile first in everything that we do. So every product team was thinking about building the mobile application, the mobile view of something before the desktop. Now that's really smart, because to do something on mobile, you tend to need something that's more basic and simpler because of the screen size and because of what people want to do on mobile. But that means you can be faster. If you're faster, that means you can get feedback from consumers faster and improve it faster. And then you can go and build a fatter version for the desktop. If you do the desktop thing first, it takes longer. You build something fatter, and then taking things out of something almost always breaks it. So that has really helped us to increase the velocity of our business. We're still at a fairly early stage of the growth of the internet and the growth of the web, whether it's on mobile or on other devices, in helping people make commercial decisions. So actually what we saw was, as the financial crisis hit, people were turning more and more to the web to help them make smarter decisions about buying products and services and managing their budget. So actually we saw an increase in the use of the web in those decisions, one that people have got used to and is now part of a day-to-day habit. And so what we've seen is actually the web has been helping people cope with the downturn in a really smart way. I think the other thing I'd say is that throughout the downturn, what's happened is there's this hidden story of businesses being successful by using the internet. So obviously we have an advertising business. That's how we make most of our money. And that business is about helping to connect customers with businesses. They're searching for car insurance on Google. They see ads from people who sell car insurance at the time they're in the market for them. And the advertiser only pays if somebody clicks on the ad and comes through to their website. So that's a really efficient way of finding and connecting to customers compared with the traditional broadcast media approach to doing that. So what we've seen over the downturn is that the internet economy in Europe is now worth nearly 4% of GDP. 4% of GDP is a lot, and it's about 15 to 20% of GDP growth in recent years has come from the internet economy. That's you and me buying products and services online, paying for our access, paying for our devices, and that's growing fast. And the internet economy is also adding jobs. So we read a lot about the disruption of the internet, particularly in the newspapers, which are being heavily disrupted by the internet. But actually, McKinsey found in a fairly detailed study that for every job lost by the disruption of the internet, 2.6 jobs were being created. So we've got this thing which is big, it's growing, it's creating jobs. And then, as I say, small businesses that are using the internet are growing 4 to 8 times faster than those that aren't, and they're exporting double. So this is an amazing story through the despair of the downturn of creativity and innovation going on amongst small businesses. And I'm really excited to be here in Austria because you have such a wealth of small businesses. I think it's right that nearly 90% of businesses in Austria are 10 people or fewer. Those are the businesses that really stand to take advantage here, creating jobs, creating exports and creating growth. We will continue to earn the majority of our money from advertising for quite some time. I think it's a good model where you have something where advertisers are targeting users when it's useful to the user and relevant and valuable to the advertiser. That's a great model for us. But I think the things that are growing fast and are going to continue to grow are mobile internet access, all kinds of devices, not just mobile phones, not just iPads, not just small tablets, not just TVs, but potentially crazy things like Google Glass, which is wearable computing, where you have a little thing in the corner of your eye that gives you useful information. So I think we're just at the beginning of seeing an explosion in what devices are available to people. So devices is going to be key. I think we will continue to focus on search, and search is a much richer experience now than it ever was. Maps and video and audio and text-based content are all ways in which we search things, and we'll be looking for new and different ways in which we can help people through search. And then there are really interesting other areas like the use of web-based technologies in business. So our enterprise business, which is helping people in business use Gmail and Google Docs and so on is amazing, and it's growing. We have thousands of businesses signing up every day for that. Over 1 million businesses in Europe are using those services. It reduces your IT costs and it increases your ability to collaborate. So I think those are all things which we'll see. It's really hard to speculate as to where the world's going, but it's very clear that, in 2020 there'll be 5 billion people online, most of them via all kinds of mobile devices, many of them in countries that have very limited internet penetration today. They'll all be publishing, sharing and using the internet. They'll be using the information on the internet, they'll be connecting with all the people on the internet, and they'll be using the computing power of the internet with things like translation and new computing services available to them in a very powerful way. So I think it's an incredibly exciting time. I think we're just at the beginning, not just as Google, but as a society, of seeing what the web can do for us. So it's a great time to be in this area.